Welcome to another episode of Totally Bible, where we discuss and learn scriptures and lessons from the Bible. In this episode, we will be going through Psalm chapter 18. In our last episode, we went through Psalm chapters 13 to 17. If you have not yet seen that video, please go ahead and click on the notification above so that you can see that video. So without further ado, let's go straight into the word. And the word comes this morning from Psalm 18, and it reads thus: I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters, and thick clouds of the skies. At the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. Yea, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them. Then the channels of waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered at thy rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. He sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them which hated me. For they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity. But the Lord was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not put away his statutes from me. I was also upright before him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyesight. With the merciful thou wilt shew thyself merciful. With an upright man thou wilt shew thyself upright. With the pure thou wilt shew thyself pure. And with the froward thou wilt shew thyself froward. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but wilt bring down high looks. For thou wilt light my candle. The Lord my God will enlighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God have I leaped over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. For who is God save the Lord? Or who is a rock save our God? It is God that girdeth me with strength, and maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my high places. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip. I have pursued mine enemies, and overtaken them. Neither did I turn again till they were consumed. I have wounded them, that they were not able to rise. They are fallen under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength unto the battle. Thou hast subdued under me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They cried, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as a dirt in the streets. Thou hast delivered me from the strivings of the people, and thou hast made me the head of the heathen. A people whom I have not known shall serve me. As soon as they hear of me, they shall obey me. The strangers shall submit themselves unto me. The strangers shall fade away and be afraid out of their closed places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. It is God that avengeth me, and subdueth the people under me. He delivereth me from mine enemies. Yea, thou liftest me up above those that rise up against me. Thou hast delivered me from the violent man. Therefore will I give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the heathen, and sing praises unto thy name. Great deliverance giveth he to his king, and sheweth mercy to his anointed, to David and to his seed forevermore. Here endeth a portion of the reading of God's holy word, and we honor it by saying, thanks be to God. And I love this psalm this morning. This psalm is very long. It is very lengthy, but it is not the lengthiest of all the psalms. And this psalm basically brought a tone of happiness. We can see here David is very happy. God has delivered him. The title of this psalm, it says, to the chief musician, which is God, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spake unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. So we all know the history of David. We all know what David went through. Even though God anointed David, he went through a lot. He had to hide from Saul because Saul wanted to kill him. Saul became so jealous because the anointing of God left Saul and it was poured out upon David. So even though the anointing of God was poured upon David, Saul still remained as king, and David had to wait for his time of deliverance. And while Saul was king, he tried many times to kill David. David had to run away out of his presence. He had to be there hiding. And this psalm is a psalm that is telling us that it's basically a song that David is singing unto the Lord, a song of happiness. He's very happy that God has finally delivered him. As we saw in the previous psalms that we read, he was asking God, Lord, how long are you going to take to deliver me? Lord, how long are you going to come and rescue me from all of my enemies? We saw that in the previous psalm. That was a tone that we got. He was questioning God and he was becoming impatient. But we're so happy to see that in Psalm chapter 18, he's very happy. He's very happy with the way that God has delivered him. And verse 1, it says, I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler, the horn of my salvation, my high tower. Yes, David is very happy. He's saying, God, I will love you. I will love you because you are my everything. You are my rock. You are my shield. You are my butler. You are everything that I need. And all I need to do is to just trust in you. And that is how we should feel as Christians. Yes, even though we may be going through our rough times like David, even though we may be going through our season when God is teaching us to wait, even though we're going through our season, we still need to remain faithful unto God. We still need to maintain our righteousness in spite of everything, in spite of the fact that we're going through our different situations and we feel like David, like God is taking too long to deliver us. We feel like our enemies are out there coming at us. But then we're asking God, Lord, how long are you going to take to deliver me out of this situation? Lord, I have been waiting for so long in this situation. How long are you going to take to deliver me? Sometimes we are going to feel like that. Yes, because we are humans, and as such, we are going to have those feelings. But during those times, we need to learn to maintain our focus upon God. During those times, we need to maintain our integrity. We need to maintain our righteousness, because once we maintain those, God is going to come through for you. He's going to come through for you, because at the end of the day, He's going to make you happy. At the end of the day, He's going to give you a song like David. He's going to give you this song of deliverance. And in chapter 7, in verses 6 to 19, David is describing dramatically and metaphorically how God responded to his cry. He said, in my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. So sometime when we're going through the distress, yes, David went through the distress. He said, in my distress I called upon the Lord. Sometime we're going to feel distressed. Sometime we're going to feel hopeless, like nothing is going on in our lives. Nothing is working out. But he said, in my distress I called upon the Lord. And that is our response. We need to cry upon the Lord. He cried upon the Lord, and the Lord heard him. The Lord heard him, and the Lord responded. Yes, God would have responded at this point because he was going through this struggle for so long. Sometimes we cry unto God and he doesn't respond because it's not yet our time. You know, God's time is perfect. His timing is perfect. His timing is not our timing. Sometimes we want him to come through for us right now, and he doesn't. But that doesn't mean that you give up. That doesn't mean that you let go. It only means that you just continue to trust him, because he's bringing you through a process, and he wants you to get something out of that process that he's going to bring you through. And so David, the stress became so much upon him now that he had to cry out unto God. And he said he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord heard him. And then he described how quickly God responded to him. He said the earth shook and trembled. He said smoke came up out of his nostrils, fire out of his mouth. He rode upon the cherub. He made darkness his secret place. and the Lord thundered in the heavens. He described how quickly God responded to him. And he loved the way God responded. He said, yes, I cried unto God and God heard me. Can you imagine? You cried unto God and God responded in your distress. Almighty God. He said God responded. He responded so quickly. And he described dramatically how God responded. And then in verses 20 to 29, he's basically describing the reward of the righteous. He said, the Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me, because he has kept the ways of the Lord, and he have not wickedly departed from God. He was also upright before him, and he kept himself from iniquity. Therefore God had recompensed him according to his righteousness. And with the merciful thou wilt shew thyself merciful, and describe all of those stuff with the pure. If you're pure, he will shew yourself pure. If you are afflicted, he will bring down eye looks. For thou will light my candle, and the Lord my God will enlighten my darkness. And so David is basically describing the reward that we will receive based on our actions. And so in his case, he maintained his righteousness, and so God rewarded him for his righteousness. God came down and God rescued him from all of his enemies. God rescued him from Saul. He rescued him from all of his other enemies, and he was so happy that finally, after all that time of waiting, God has finally responded unto his cry. And in verses 30 to 45, he's basically speaking about the ways of God. He's saying that the ways of God are perfect. He's saying that God will be a buckler to those that trust in him. He will be our rock. He will be our strength. And he was saying that he maketh my feet like hinds' feet. He teacheth my hands to war. You understand? The reason why David is saying all of this is because he has come to the realization that he cannot fight his enemies by his own strength. He cannot defeat his enemies by himself. But it is God that is going to give him the power. This is God that is going to give him the strength. It is God that is going to give him the wisdom and everything that he needs, the protection, everything that he needs to fight against his enemies. And we ought to adopt this from David, because we have to recognize that we cannot do anything of ourselves. You know, even when we're going through our different struggles and situations, and we feel like, oh, we can do it on our own. Just know that you can't do it on your own. You have to depend upon the strength of God. You have to depend upon God's directions, leading you through your situation, leading you through all of those circumstances, because David could not have defeated his enemies on his own. In every battle that he faced, he had to acknowledge God first. He had to seek guidance from God, you know? And we need to seek guidance from God in everything that we do. Do not take anything upon your own hands, but instead trust in the Lord and depend upon his words, and depend upon God to lead and to direct you in the right path, in the right way that you should go. And we too will share similar songs when God delivers us out of our situations. And in verses 40 to 45, it speaks about the destruction of his enemies. He said, thou hast given me the necks of mine enemies. They cried, but there was none to help them. Not even God could help them. And he said, as soon as they hear of me, As soon as his enemies hear of him, they shall obey him, and strangers shall submit themselves unto him. And why is that? Because God is on his side. And once God is on your side, you shall not be moved. Once God is on your side, and once you're on the right side, which is the side of the Lord, then everything will work out for your good. Yes, just like David, everything worked out for his good. Even though he was there suffering for so long, God delivered him. God delivered him, and he was able to sing this song unto the Lord because he was very grateful for the deliverance that the Lord has brought upon him. Verses 46 to 50, again it speaks about God deliverance. He said, the Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock. So here David is acknowledging that God is his rock and God is his salvation. It is God that avengeth me and subdueth the people under me. So here he's saying that he did not do this of his own. God did all of this for him. He delivereth me from mine enemies. He lifted me up above those that rise up against me. And because of that, he said in verse 49, therefore will I give thanks unto thee, O Lord, unto the heathen, and sing praises among the heathen, and sing praises unto thy name. Great deliverance giveth he to his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed David, and to his seed forevermore. Yes, this is such a great psalm this morning. It is reminding us that God, he will deliver his people. He will deliver his people at the right time. And even though David was going through his situation, going through his struggle, going through that process that God was bringing him through, during that process he learned to trust in God more. He learned to depend upon God, because here he's saying that, Lord, I can't do this on my own. I do not have the strength to fight, but Lord, I am depending upon you. Lord, I am putting my total, complete trust in you this morning. I am putting my total, complete trust that you are going to bring me out of this situation. Even though before, when he was going through the process, he was saying, Lord, how long are you going to take to deliver me from my enemies? Yes, we're going to feel like that sometimes, because we are human. We are humans, and so we are going to feel that way. But the greatest part of it is that he did not give up on God. He did not let go, but he continued to maintain his righteousness. He continued to maintain his focus. Sometimes we are going through those situations, and some of us, we give up and we let go. But we need to adopt the attitude of David this morning. We need to maintain our righteousness in spite of everything. David had the chance to rebel against Saul, but in spite of all of that, he maintained his righteousness. He was the anointed one. But then he remained humble, and he allowed God to do what he was doing. During the process, allow God to work on your behalf. Allow God to do what he wants to do. Allow him to have his way in your life. Let his will be done in your life. Yes, sometimes it is so hard. The struggle is so hard, and the struggle is so real, and we feel like we can't make it. But if we put our trust in God this morning, he is able to deliver you. He is able to rescue you. Just like David, he is able to sustain you in spite of everything. And so let us continue to trust in God, because he is our rock. He is our fortress, our deliverer, our God, our strength, and in him will we put our trust. God bless you this morning. I hope that you got something from the word, and let us continue to read the scriptures together. Let us continue to learn together, because if we hide the words in our heart, we will not sin against the Lord. If you are new here, please go ahead and subscribe, and God bless you this morning.